talk to me about this insurance scam, as because I have seen these scams in Pakistan. I've known people from India; they also got into. Actually, these are not scams as scams.
These are legal
These
scams.
are legal scams.
Yeah,
So how
totally.
yeah?
I
Because a lot of, sorry, before you begin, because a lot of people fall into it, and I know, and the beginners fall into it very often than the experienced
and
ones.
it's not just beginners, believe
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
And I fell into that trap myself.
Okay.
Not once, not twice, but thrice.
Really?
Oh yeah. So because I mean, back in the day, I used to work myself for I mean, in an insurance group, and being part of the company, the natural thing to do is to buy one of their products, right? So I bought one of their long-term investment slash insurance plans, and I thought that this is the wise thing to do, because you put some money aside automatically each month. They withdraw it from your bank account. You don't have to worry about anything. They manage everything for you. Great on paper. But then I learned how bad these plans are. I mean, the minute you start looking under the hood, once you understand the fees that are being charged by these plans, these are really mind-blowing. And just to give the audience a rough idea about what I'm talking about here. So the typical basket of, say, stocks and bonds, or the ETFs, or the market in general, like we mentioned earlier, the market returns around 10% per year. And that is if you're completely 100% in stocks. Let's say a basket of stocks and bonds returns, let's say, for the sake of example, for the sake of argument, 8%, right? These plans charge you close to 4.5% in fees.
In fees?
Yeah. I mean, the typical person, and myself included, would say like 4% or 5% in fees. What's 5% between friends, right? They're managing everything for you. But the thing is, it's 4% out of your expected returns of 8%. So you're literally giving away 50% of your profit to these companies. But it doesn't end here. The thing is, these fees compound over time. So when you get into the plan for, let's say, typically 20, 25, or even 30 years, these fees compound over time. And at the end of the period, instead of, say, and this is something I gave as an example in one of my YouTube videos. So at the end of the period, instead of ending up with, say, $1 million, you will end up with like close to $300. Where did that 700K disappear?
In the fee.
Yes, exactly. But the thing is, you don't get to see that, and nobody talks about it, and no one knows about these fees. And reading Unshakable by Tony Robbins is the first book that kind of shed some light on these extravagant fees that we were paying without noticing. And like I said, I did not make the mistake twice. I made it thrice, because I had a plan when I first started in my company. I mean, not in my company, when I used to work for an insurance group. And then when I moved around, a friend of mine actually sold me another one.
Really?
Let me correct that. I approached him for him because I wanted to buy.
So you were already into a plan? You
Yes,
were already.
I was already in a plan, and then I approached a friend of mine, and I told him I need another plan, because I thought that this is the smart thing to do. And yet again, several years later, and that was after I was in the UAE, I took a third one, because again I thought I was being smart and I was diversifying my money into 3 plans.
Really?
But what I ended up doing is, like, I lost a lot of. And by the way, what I don't really like about these plans is that they lock you in, because the plan is designed in such a way that if you, for example, stop the plan after, let's say the plan is for 25 years, and if you stop after 5, 6, or even 7 years, you will lose money. But the thing is, what they don't tell you is that you don't really lose money when you stop. It's you lose money from the minute you sign on the paper, because basically, roughly speaking, close to 18 months, which is a year and a half worth of your contribution, of your initial contributions, they go literally to the pocket of the agent or the broker who sold you the plan. Now, of course, you will, if you look at your statement, you will see that, yeah, I've contributed, say, $1,000 per month. Let's take this as an example. After a couple of years, you have 24, say, $1,000. But in reality, 18 months out of this money has gone in fees upfront. So yeah, you will see that at the bottom line you have 24,000, but in reality, the money that you really own is what we call the surrender value of that plan. The surrender value is like when you want to exit the plan, they call it the surrender value minus the fees or the penalty, as they call it. But in reality, these are the fees that you have already paid upfront. So the minute you sign on that paper, you've already lost.
So that is front loading of all the costs to you.
Oh yes,
in technical terms.
I mean, I don't want to make it more complex to the audience, but most of it is pretty much front loaded, and there is a small sum that will follow you until the end of times, until you finish the plan, pretty much.
Yeah.
So in most cases, the best thing to do, and which is something that I did, I exited all these plans at a loss, obviously, and I then reinvested the proceeds in a portfolio of ETFs that I manage myself.
Right.
And I never looked back. So yes, it might look like a loss, but the sad truth is that you've already lost the money the minute you signed that.
And you've learned by mistake. So
it was a costly mistake.